Hello students. In previous lecture we were discussing about the various liquid dosage forms which includes Dutches, enemas, eardrops, inhalation, aerosols and parenteral solution. So in this chapter today we will discuss about the problems in the formulation of monophasic liquids. So as such pharmacists do not come across any problem if drug is dissolved easily in the solvent system. But if the solubility of the compound is not as much as required, it may create the problem for a pharmacist to make its monophasic solution which can provide the desired concentration of drug in a particular dose. So before going into the detail of the formulation problems, one must be aware of the types of monophasic liquids. So they are classified into three main classes. First class is macromolecular solution. Second is micellar solution, and third one is macromolecular solution. So in case of micromolecular solutions, they consist of microunits which can be either molecular or ions. Example is water, and which have alcohol, sodium ions, colloid ions, sucrose and glycerin. So in general the size should be of the order from the range of 1 to 10 Armstrong. So next is micellar solution. So they consist of aggregates of the solute molecules or ions. So the visual properties of these solutions such as clarity and viscosity resemble those of micromolecular solution but differs in vapor pressure, osmotic pressure and conductance. So third one is macromolecular solutions. So they are systems where the solute is molecularly dispersed just as the micromolecular solutions. So the molecular weight and the size of macromolecules are of large magnitude which shows unique properties of the solution. So the terms solvent and solute used in liquid preparations are arbitrary. So usually the liquid component is considered to be the solvent and the solid or gaseous component to be the solute. So it is presumed that solvent dissolves the solute, hence term solubility comes in the picture. So if both components are liquids, it is advisable to use the term miscibility rather than solubility in describing the mutual affinity of the components. So thus sodium chloride is soluble in water, glycerin is miscible, and chloroform is slightly miscible with water. So depending on the content of a solute in solvent at room temperature, the solution can be categorized as follows. Dilute solutions, it contains very small amount of solute in solution. Concentrated solution, it contains large amount of solute in solution. Saturated solution, it contains maximum amount of solute in solution. And supersaturated solution, which contains more than the maximum amount of solute which could have accommodated. So this solution is unstable and might revert to the stable saturated solution. So to formulate a liquid dosage form stable and up to the mark in all respects, following problems are to be discussed with their proper remedies. First one is solubility, preservation, viscosity, taste and flavor, appearance, stability, sterility and tonicity. So first one is solubility. So the extent to which the solute dissolves at a particular temperature is known as its solubility at that temperature. So usually 20 degrees centigrade is considered to the optimum temperature for the preparation of stable saturated solutions because it is considered as room temperature at which the drugs are supposed to be kept. So when the substance dissolved in a given system, so there must be interaction between the solvent and solute molecules, and also the ions and the dissolution of solute in solvent results. So during the phenomena, few thermodynamic functions such as free energy, enthalpy and entropy change, and that is why When a solute is dissolved in a solvent, the dissolution is generally accompanied by absorption or evolution of the energy in the form of heat. But however, no energy changes are involved in the dissolution process if forces of attraction between the solute molecules and the solvent molecules are exactly equal. So to visualize this molecular interaction, one has to study the effect of various physico chemical parameters on solubility behavior. So this helps in predicting type of interaction and extent of solubility. So the melting points can easily be correlated with the solubilities of some compounds which have MPS and solubilities of some barbiturates, which are given below in the table 5.1. So students, you can see in first table there is a compound, second table is of melting point, and third table is of value of water required to dissolve 1 gram. So for the compound cecobarbitol, melting point is 95 to 96 degrees centigrade and value of water required to dissolve 1 gram is 2 ml. So in case of pentobarbital, whose melting point is 132 to 133 degrees centigrade, 3 ml of water is required to dissolve 1 gram. Third one is aminobarbital, whose melting point is 155 to 156 degrees centigrade and 5 ml of water is required to dissolve 1 gram. And in case of phenobarbital, 174 to 175 degrees centigrade, 10 ml of water is required to dissolve the water. So in case of barbital, 188 to 189 degrees centigrade temperature is required and 14 ml of water is required to dissolve the compound. So polarity of the solvent is another important criteria and predicting the solubility of the solutes, that is its dipole moment. So depending on the dielectric constant of the solvents, they are classified into three classes: polar solvent, non-polar solvent and semi-polar solvents. So polarity of some solvents are and solutes are given in table 5.2. So students, as you know, dielectric constant is a solvent's property which is an energy required to separate two oppositely charged ions in a solvent as compared with energy required to separate the same oppositely charged ions in vacuum. So water has high dielectric constant equal to 80 at 25 degrees centigrade, which reduces the force of attraction between oppositely charged ions in crystal like sodium chloride. So chloroform has a dielectric constant of 5 and benzene about 2, hence ionic compounds are practically insoluble in these solvents. So polar solvents break covalent bonds of potentially strong electrolytes by acid-base reaction. So since these solvents are amphiprotic in nature, for example, water brings about the ionization of HCl as HCl plus water, which produce hydronium and chloride. So weak organic acids, alcohols, aldehyde and ketones are not ionized appreciably by water. So their solubility is attributed instead to the hydrogen bond formation with water. So the polar solvents are capable of solvating molecules and ions through dipole interaction forces. So particularly hydrogen bond formation, which leads to the solubility of the compound. So the solute must be polar in nature to find a place in the associated structure of the solvent. So the ion dipole interaction between the sodium salt of oleic acid and water may be shown as in the diagram you can see in the book. So students, the non-polar solvents are unable to reduce the attraction between the ions of strong and weak electrolytes because of the solvent's low dielectric constant. So also they do not break covalent bonds and ionize weak electrolytes since they are aprotic in nature. So they cannot form hydrogen bridges with non-electrolytes. Hence ionic and polar solutes are not soluble or are only slightly soluble in non-polar solvents. So however, non-polar solvents dissolve non-polar solutes with similar internal pressure through induced dipole interactions. So the solute molecules are kept in solution by the weak van der Waals types of forces. So thus oils and fats dissolve in carbon tetrachloride, benzene and mineral oil. So Hildebrand had shown that consideration of dipole moments alone is not adequate to explain the solubility of polar substances in water. So the ability of the solute to form hydrogen bond is far more influential factor than is the polarity as reflected in a high dipole moment. So for example, dipole moment of nitrobenzene is 4.2 into 10 raised to power minus 18 ESU. So Hildebrand and Scott described a new parameter called solubility parameter to predict the solubility of the compounds. So students, more similarity in the structure of the solute and solvent enhances the solubility of solute in that solvent. So polar solutes dissolve in polar solvents while non-polar solute dissolve in non-polar solvents. So addition of polar groups like OH, CHO, CHOH, CH2OH, COOH and NH2 etc. They tend to increase the solubility of organic compounds in water. So addition of non-polar groups tend to decrease the solubility of compounds in water. So introduction of halogen groups tend to decrease the solubility while branching of chains increases the solubility in water. So solid compounds of high molecular weights are generally more difficult to dissolve in water. So there are few techniques available in the solution technology to enhance the solubility of poorly soluble compounds. So pharmacists must adopt them in the formulation of liquid dosage forms. So if desired concentration of poorly soluble drugs have not been achieved by simple dissolution techniques, so they are as follows: solubilization, co-solvency, pH modification, complexation, hydrotrophy and chemical modification. So first one is solubilization. So the solubilization was introduced by McPrin in 1937. So it is the dissolution of poorly soluble solutes molecule in water in the presence of surfactants and forms thermodynamically stable solution. So students, the process of dissolution in presence of surfactants have been described as the formation of micelles, which enhances the solubility of poorly soluble solutes when surfactant of proper HLB is added in low concentration to liquid, so it tends to orient at air liquid interface. So if surfactant is continued to be added in higher concentrations, air liquid interface is fully occupied. So at still higher concentrations, the surfactant molecules or ions are forced to go into the bulk of the liquid. When the particular concentration of surfactant molecules is maintained in the system, and aggregates of surfactants are called micelles. So the concentration of surfactant at which micelle formation takes place is called critical micelle concentration. So micelles may be of various shapes: spherical, sausage, rod or lamellar. Micelle formation increase the solubility of a solute by virtue of its dissolving in or being absorbed into the micelle. So this function of surfactant starts only at CMC and increases with the concentration of the micelles. So the solubility enhancement of cresol solution with soap solution is very good example of this technique. So as such, cresol has only 2% volume by volume soluble in water, but with soap solution we can dissolve up to 50% volume by volume cresol in water. So this technique is useful to solubilize many water soluble in vitamins like A, D, K, and to prepare solutions of chloroxylenol and hexachlorophene. So student, if we talk about the co-solvency, this technique enhances the solubility of very poorly soluble drug in water by adding water miscible solvents in which drug is very soluble. So the solvents used in combination to increase the solubility of drug solute are known as co-solvents. So the mechanism of co-solvency is not well understood. So it has been said that this phenomena takes place as a result of independent solubility of the solute in each co-solvent. For example, undissociated phenobarbital has a solubility of approximately 1 by 2 gram per liter in water and 13 gram per liter in ethyl alcohol. So various co-solvents are commonly used such as ethanol, sorbitol, glycerin, propylene glycol and polyethylene glycols. Third one is pH modification. So pH is helpful in enhancing the solubility because many drugs behave as either weak acids or weak bases. For example, solubility of phenobarbital varies at different pH values. So pH is a critical instrument for the solubility of drugs, which can be found out by the application of the law of mass action to obtain a particular solubility of either weak acid or weak base drugs in the formulation. So students, the pH environment for the adequate solubility must be compatible with the stability and the physiological conditions. So to maintain the pH of adequate solubility of drug in formulation, suitable buffers are added keeping following criteria in mind. First criteria is they must have adequate capacity in desired pH range. So they must be physiological, compatible and safe. They must not affect the stability of drugs and other additives, and they must not affect the aesthetic properties of the formulation like color, taste, etc. So students, in next lecture we will study about the comprexation, hydrotrophy, chemical modification and preservation. So this is all for the day. Thank you so much.